about temptation, not the cartoon version with a little devil on your shoulder. Not the vague, polite, Sunday school one. Let's talk about the real kind. The kind that wears perfume, the kind that has power. The kind that doesn't hear the word no often, if ever. Because the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife doesn't start in a bedroom. It starts in the boardroom. It starts with success. Joseph is winning, quietly, relentlessly. After being sold into slavery by his own brothers, dragged to Egypt, and stripped of everything, he's somehow still rising. He is the definition of resilience. Now he's in Potiphar's house. Potiphar is a high-ranking official, the captain of the Pharaoh's guard. And Joseph isn't just a servant, he's managing everything. The finances, the staff, the entire estate. If this were today, Joseph would be that young, brilliant executive everyone is both impressed and intimidated by in meetings. He's got that quiet confidence, that undeniable competence. He gets things done, and Potiphar's wife notices. Of course she does, but it doesn't happen all at once. At first, it's subtle. You know how it is. Lingering looks across the courtyard, conversations that just happen to occur when no one else is around, compliments disguised as casual small talk. The kind of attention that pretends to be completely harmless right up until the moment it isn't. It's a slow burn, a gradual testing of boundaries. She's assessing the situation, gauging his reaction, building a bridge of familiarity that she plans to cross later. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Joseph isn't clueless. He's intelligent. He's perceptive. He reads people. He knows exactly what's happening. And here's the part of the story nobody really likes to admit. This isn't a temptation born from desperation. This is temptation from a place of luxury, of high status, of influence. Potiphar's wife is a woman who gets what she wants. She lives in a world where her desires are commands. She's the kind of woman that, if this happened today, certain corners of the internet would probably defend with comments like, "Why would he even say no? Look at her. He should be grateful." That's the real tension of this moment. Because Joseph absolutely could say yes. Let's not pretend he couldn't. He's a young man, far from home, alone. Saying yes could have made his life, in the short term, much, much easier. It could have secured his position even further. Who would blame him? In that house, under that roof, nobody would know. It would be their secret. A discreet affair with the boss's wife. It happens. But Joseph isn't just wrestling with attraction or opportunity. He's wrestling with consequence. He's playing chess while she's playing checkers. He sees the trap long before it's sprung. He understands that some doors don't just close behind you, they collapse on you. He's not thinking about the pleasure of the moment. He's thinking about the price of his integrity. So when she finally makes her move, when she drops all pretense and says it, plainly, boldly, "Lie with me," Joseph refuses. He doesn't deliver a grand, dramatic speech. He doesn't lecture her, he just says no, firmly, respectfully, but unequivocally. He explains his position. "My master has entrusted me with everything in his house. He has held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" He draws a clear line. A line of loyalty to Potiphar, and even more importantly, a line of loyalty to his own conscience and his God. And that is the exact moment the entire tone of the story shifts. Because rejection doesn't always lead to quiet reflection. Sometimes it curdles into resentment. The soft, inviting looks harden into glares. The gentle invitation becomes a sharp, daily insistence. The atmosphere in the house, once filled with professional respect, now gets heavy, thick with unspoken pressure. This is no longer flirtation. This is harassment. This is a power play. She's used to getting her way, and his refusal is not just a rejection of her advance. It's a challenge to her authority, to her very identity. Then one day, it happens, the house is quiet to quiet. The other servants are conveniently gone. It's a setup. She corners him. There are no more words, no more veiled suggestions. She grabs his garment, his cloak, trying to physically force the outcome she desires. She's trying to rewrite the story right there, in that moment, with force. And in that split second, Joseph does the only thing that can keep him alive in the long run. He runs. He doesn't stop to argue. He doesn't try to explain himself. There's no dignity in it. It's pure, primal instinct for self-preservation. He wriggles out of his cloak and flees, leaving the garment clutched in her hand. And that single detail, the abandoned cloak, is what history remembers. Because when power feels embarrassed, when it feels rejected, it gets dangerous. She has the evidence she needs, but it's evidence of his innocence, so she flips the narrative. She weaponizes his integrity against him. She begins to scream. She gathers the household, holding up the cloak as proof of her fabricated story. She turns his rejection into an accusation of assault. She paints herself as the terrified victim and him as the savage aggressor. The house that once trusted Joseph, that ran on his competence, now looks at him like a monster, a threat. When Potiphar comes home, he doesn't ask questions. He doesn't launch an investigation. He hears his wife's version of the story, sees her distress, and he reacts. His anger is immediate. In that culture, a master's word was law, and his wife's honor was his own. Joseph, the trusted and respected manager, is instantly transformed into a prisoner. He goes from a position of influence and authority to the darkness of an Egyptian dungeon, bound by iron bars. And here's the real twist of this part of the story. Joseph didn't end up in prison because he did something wrong. He ended up in prison because he did the right thing. He didn't lose because he said no. He lost because he said no to the wrong person, to someone with more power and less integrity. In a world where staying silent is often seen as safer than speaking truth, doing the right thing can cost you absolutely everything. Your job, your reputation, your freedom. But the story doesn't end in that jail cell. It can't, because that prison doesn't erase Joseph. It refines him. The darkness becomes a crucible. And the very same character, the same restraint and integrity that saved him from a moment of temptation, is about to prepare him for a level of power and influence he could never have imagined. That prison cell is not an ending, it's a classroom. Join me next time as we explore what happens in the dark. We'll talk about dreams, prison politics, and how a man forgotten by everyone becomes unforgettable to history. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.